Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd. Unfortunately, inshallah ta'ala, this is a talk that we do not take pleasure in talking about, but this is also something that needs to be addressed. Alhamdulillah, this is pertaining to a question that was asked, a very serious question that was asked by Aaliyah, that was posted on Jameel Finch's Twitter that he failed to respond to. And we're going to go back into some background for those who know our beloved brother Jameel Finch, Hafidhullah, may Allah preserve him, and those who actually know him better than I know him, by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala. They will explain to us the reason why we believe he could not respond to Aaliyah's question. And Aaliyah's question is very sad, and inshallah ta'ala, when we read it to you, I hope you will understand how important and how severe and how atrocious or how great this fitna is. We open up with the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the authority of Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who even now we place in this book known as Riyadh Salihin. He mentioned that the Prophet sallallahu said, "Yassiru wa la ta'assiru, wa bashiru wa la tanaffiru." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Yassiru, make things easy, wa la ta'assiru, and do not make them difficult." And he said, "Wa bashiru, give glad tidings, wa la tanaffiru, and do not chase people away." Also, we keep the hadith in mind of the Prophet ﷺ on the authority of Abi Tamimi ad-Dari ibn Aus radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ad-dinu nasiha," that the religion is sincere advice. And he mentioned this 3 times in one narration. And they said, "Liman ya Rasulullah," to whom ya Rasulullah? He said, "Lillahi," to Allah, wa li kitabihi, to his book, wa li rasulihi, and to his messenger, وَلِيَعِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and to the leaders of the Muslims. And he said, "Naam," and to the leaders of the messengers, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the leaders of the A'imma, and وَعَمَّتِهِمْ, and the common folks. This is collected by Imam Muslim. So keep these 2 hadiths in mind. We also want to mention some of the traits of the characteristics of the Haddadiyya before getting into Aaliyah's question. There is a group that have appeared in modern times that are very stern and they are very severe. They are not the Khawarij per se, but they have some similar traits. And some of their traits, we're going to mention some of their characteristics that hopefully we ask Allah Jalla to protect you and all of our brothers from as well. One of their traits is, or characteristics, is that they say, بتبديع كل من وقع في بدع وابن هاجر عندهم أشد وأكثر من سيد قطب. They say that about every person who falls into innovation, they place tabdi'. They call this individual to be an innovator, whoever falls into innovation, no matter what kind of innovation it be. If it's innovation mufassiqa, innovation due to sin that does not take you out of the fold of Islam or the fold of Salafiyya or the fold of the Sunnah, then they place tabdi' upon you. And example of this is how stern they are against Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, the famous author of the book known as the author of the book, and also the explanation of Imam Bukhari's book, which is known as the book, alhamdulillah. He got a famous explanation called Fath al-Bari, and he also the author of Bulugh al-Maram. In this particular thing, they say that Rali Ibn Hajar, they are very stern and severe to him, and they say that Rali is more dangerous and he is more severe than Sayyid Qutb, waliyadu billah. Also, another characteristic of them is that they place tabdi' man la yubaddi'u man waqa'a fi bid'atin wa adawatihi wa harbihi, that they place innovation, or they declare someone to be an innovator whoever does not declare someone to be an innovator. In other words, they deem a person to be an innovator if that particular person himself do not deem whoever they deem to be an innovator. So they deem this person to be an innovator, and there on out, that person they have animosity with and they wage war against. وَلَا يَكْفِي عِنْدَهُمْ أَن تَقُولُ, and it's not sufficient with these particular people that a person says so and so is Ash'ari, for example, meaning that so-and-so has Ashari. That's not cool. Rather, they want you to say, no, so-and-so is an innovator. And if not, they'll wage war against you for not declaring him to be an innovator. They will boycott you, and they will also place tabdir, meaning call you an innovator. Another characteristic of the people of Haddadir that we ask Allah to protect us from is that they prohibit showing or displaying any type of mercy or any type of consideration for the people of Bid'ah. This is unrestrictedly. They do not distinguish. لا فرق بين الرافض وقدري وجهمي وبين عالم ووقف البدع. They do not distinguish between a Rafidi, a Qadri, a Jahmi, nor between a scholar who felt into what we call an act of innovation. They don't distinguish between. To them, all of them are the same. To them, their act of innovation, all of them are the same. Now, if a scholar makes a mistake and he falls into what we know as an act of innovation, they will magnify that situation and put him alongside of the Qadariyya or the Jahmiyya, waliyadu billah. These are some of the characteristics we wanted to mention, keeping that in mind before we go into dealing with our beloved brother, Jameel Finch. And who's best to explain Jameel Finch than one who knows him? So we're going to just touch on a little bit of words of someone who knows Jameel Finch better than I, and maybe it can help us understand why he did not respond to Aaliyah's question. Many of you are aware that our beloved brother Ali Davis, Hafidhullah, may Allah preserve him, is not only a close friend of Jameel Finch, but he also a colleague, and he also a classmate, and he studied with Jameel Finch for many years overseas, and they studied with some of the same particular mashaykh, and they studied some of the same books, and they graduated from the same they graduated from the same school. So he mentioned in his advice to a good brother named Jameel Finch, he says, my advice to Jameel Finch is the same for many years ago. Busy the people with knowledge. Jameel Finch knows that our people, and here he's talking about inner city urban America, are struggling with substance abuse, violence, alcoholism, men without having fathers, women not having fathers, lack of education, lack of employment, lack of having any tangible skill set, mental health issues, children born from zina, sexual predators, homosexuality, etc., etc., and the list goes on. Now, before carrying on, we know for one thing that Ali Davis is right about one thing, is because from Sheikh Fawzan to Sheikh Obaid, all of them said, and they all of them advised the students to busy the people with ilm. Even Sheikh Abdul Muhsin, he also said, Ishtagilu bin nas bil ilm. Busy the people with seeking knowledge. Busy the people with studying. Not busy the people with rudud or refutations. And we're not talking about those praiseworthy refutations henceforth that comes in the Quran and in the Sunnah and from the illustrious ulama who have hikmah and wisdom in how to do refutations. But we're talking about those personal refutations. Those refutations that are unfair and that are unjust and that are beyond the bounds. These are the things we do not busy our people with. Also, he mentioned something very important, and that is no one can deny that America, and especially in Philadelphia or in any other area in America, especially the urban areas, are struggling from a lot of social ills, a lot of things that we are all struggling from. And some of us come from broken homes, without families, without fathers. Some don't have, both parents in the household. Some have been subjected, some have been subjected to sexual predatory. Some has been, as they mentioned in statistic, that out of 1 out of 5 houses, that there is a small child that's being molested. And this is something that we face. A lot of us, we are on the hush-hush. A lot of us, we keep it inside, especially the difference with the African Americans. They witness this go on, but they keep it, hidden. And these are things that, definitely we all face. And we all know of scenarios or instances where this has happened. And throughout the years, we've seen that these issues for some reason, have not been addressed by the Islamic community and trying to deal and remedy these situations. And hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, we will try to tackle that project, not myself. When I say we, meaning we would call together some of the students, inshallah ta'ala, to deal with this in an academic way. And that's terms of dealing with domestic violence, sexual predators, as well as sexual abuse, any type of abuse. We want to put together a workshop, inshallah ta'ala, conducting with some experts to see how best to remedy that situation. Also, we can't deny the fact of homosexuality, whether it be a form of lesbianism or whether it be a form of homosexuality where there are two boys and they're getting younger and younger. So these are some of the things that we're definitely facing. And no doubt, I just wanted to verify this, that Ali Davis is hitting on a tremendous point. So he said, why not deal with these real and very relevant issues? Since I've been back in the States, I have tried to study. I try to stay busy educating and trying to uplift the people in our communities. Unfortunately, I read Jameel Finch, and we're not going to get into this really much, refutation. There were many things that he mentioned that were untrue. And we don't want to get into too much of the back and forth between them two, but I just wanted to mention certain points from this advice that tells us, or gives us some insight into Jameel Finch. One thing I wanted to stick out is that our beloved brother Jameel Finch, as Ali Davis has confirmed, is a very diligent. When he was overseas, he was very diligent in studying, very diligent in learning, and so forth like that. However, we want to know, we're just asking, all of us want to know, what happened, Jameel Finch? Why have you changed? Why have you changed your stance? Here we see that one of the things that Jameel Finch have felt into is that when Ali Davis said that Yusuf Qaradawi was a scholar, Jameel Finch had left that to the layperson to believe that this was somehow praising the likes of Yusuf Qaradawi. And however, he failed to mention that actually Sheikh Fawzan acknowledged him to be a scholar, as well as many other mashaykhs like Sheikh Al-Albani, who also acknowledged him to be a scholar. Now, however, this doesn't mean that he is error-free or didn't fall into innovations, as some of the scholars clearly mentioned. This doesn't mean that our beloved brother Ali Davis also don't hold this position, that he did fall into errors and that he did fall into innovations. Therefore, what you presented, Jameel Finch, was a deception, or perhaps you really were unaware of those statements about him. I am amazed, as I am almost certain that you have some of your affiliates review your work prior to putting it out. Perhaps they even helped you put it together the same way they collaborated with when they refuted against another brother. I noticed because I was on the phone with them as they was preparing the refutation. Now, I want to mention something that our beloved brother Jameel Finch wasn't like this. As Ali Davis assert here in his advice to him, he said, why will I say that? Sometime in February 2017, Anwar Wright and I got into a dispute. There was an altercation that took place between Ali Davis and another fellow student, Anwar Wright. Words were exchanged between us, and after our incident, no less than 10 minutes later, Jameel Finch is on Twitter. He's posting. Now look what Ali Davis said, just to be fair. He said, what will provoke Jameel to speak about me on Twitter when I have never said anything publicly in the public negative about him? Why would he go into the public? Why would he go in the public? Something have to have persuade him or have incited him or encouraged him to do this. Ali Davis said, in his humble opinion, he believed that Anwar have ordered him. However, we want to get into any speculations on that part, but we want to say that something have changed. Another point we want to bring to the reader's mind before going into Aaliyah is that Jameel Finch, in this article, he had failed to answer these legitimate questions that took place about 4 years ago. They had this conversation. And Jameel Finch, he said, answer to your doubts one by one you asked for. So these doubts that he was asking about, Ali Davis said, why do they have to be doubts instead of legitimate questions from a student of knowledge trying to obtain truth about an issue, hoping you can provide some clarity? Here you go using a style of speech that you once criticized some of the people you aid and support now. Now, for those who do not know, our beloved brother Jameel Finch was one of the people who was speaking out against the likes of the people that he's run with now, like Hassan Somali and S. Pubs. He thought that the brothers at that time, like Hassan Somali and S. Pubs, he thought they was being unfair to the people and that they was twisting up people's words, and he thought they was oppressing people. And he was really close with Shadeed Muhammad. And he felt as though when the refutation came out against Shadeed Muhammad from these particular brothers, he felt as though it was unjust. So he was the first to write to write a refutation of these particular brothers. It was placed on some websites. However, some of the websites was able to take it down. This is something that our beloved brother Jameel Finch do not want us to know about. But Ali Davis was kind enough to share this about the insight of our brother Jameel Finch, which shows you that Jameel Finch, deep down inside, he has what we say, he has a heart to, refute that which is oppression when he see it. However, what changed him? What makes him change his stance to stick up for what was right? Jameel Finch, he mentioned something else, and then we'll get into Aaliyah. He mentioned that he said, "Your hesitancy of speaking out against groups in America because no one you know is affected by them is a scapegoat. As students, our role is to protect all the Muslims from being misguided, and there are thousands of Muslims being misguided by these groups." This is the question he posed to our beloved brother Ali Davis. Let's listen to the response, and we'll get to our point. First of all, your response is totally foolish. I also feel like your scapegoat comment is an excuse for you not to think. I think you are more intelligent than that, and I don't want to insult you, but let's think for a minute. What's wrong with specifying a problem that you personally see people affected by? In our area, people are overcome with sins and easygoing with regards to them. You just came back and you didn't see it. This is what we hear and get emails about from people in our area. This is known. Why can't we focus on the problems in our area? Do you have some legislative evidence that would suggest that this approach is unacceptable Islamically? If so, I will be more than happy to see what you have. So here, our brother Ali Davis is asking Jameel Finch a legitimate question. And I want you to pay attention, because most of these people, Hassan Somali, Abu Khadija, a lot of them, you always hear them throw out words and names. And over the couple of weeks since we've been putting out the videos, have you heard their response? Have you seen their response? It always been general, been some athar that they would try to pull out. And then don't worry about the barking dogs or the howling dogs, and don't pay attention to those who seeking fame, the YouTube, but they never address the actual legitimate questions in an academic light. They never come back and say, you know what, well, 1.2, 0.3, this issue here is like this, and this is the reason why we take this stance, and this is the reason why we believe these brothers felt into error, and this is the reason why we feel as though is a severe need that we attack this problem, or address this problem, or remove this person from out of the fold of Salafiyah, or remove this person from the fold of Ahlul Sunnah. This is the reason why they never come back with this type of response. I wonder why. You have to pay attention. I wonder why they can do it. Is they incompetent at doing this? I don't know. Allah knows best. But you're going to see, inshallah. He says here, if so, I will be more than happy to see what you have. Otherwise, your argument is your opinion. And are you making a legislative argument based on your opinion that you haven't supported with anything except by what you think? Now, I want you to listen. This is between two students who study in the same school amongst the same scholars. Now, this is something important to understand. The reason why Ali Davis is addressing Jameel Finch in this manner, with respect, and not calling him names, and not putting him down, is because, one, they are taught as students to be able to review the evidence, and then to be able to have a legitimate, what we call knowledge-based munakasha, discussion about the evidence. If you believe one thing, you should be able to do research, present your argument, and this is how you go for when you get ready to go for your master's. Okay, you do it. You do your research. You do a thesis. You pull out all of your arguments, and then you're going to have scholars on the panel. They're going to be debating you. So normally, this is what normally happens in a perfect world. Two students to come back and say, "Well, I see this, I see that, and I researched this issue, and this is what I found, according to the evidence here, according to how the ulama understood this, like that." But this never takes place. It always ends up with insults. It always ends up with name calling. It always ends up with all of these particular things that take place. Right? So now it says here, what even stranger than that is you agree with what I said by your response. Look at your contradictory statement. You said your hesitancy of speaking out against groups in America. Now you said, as students, our role is to protect all Muslims from being misguided. And there are thousands of Muslims being misguided by these people. Now your claim is that we shouldn't focus on a particular area, but you mentioned America. This is Ali Davis' words right now. Is not America a particular area or place? Why did you mention America? According to your theory, we should be focusing on people around the world. Or did you mean throughout America? If so, if you meant throughout America, why specify America? Why not warn the people in Australia or China or any other country? Why just warn against Shadid, Muhammad Munir, Akil, and Tahir? Why not warn against the du'at and students in other countries too? Is it because you see those students' misguidance to be the most important thing the Muslims need to be aware of all over the world? We'll discuss the aforementioned students later, inshallah. So Jameel Finch, Somali, Anwar, we ask you this question. It's a legitimate question. There's nothing wrong when anyone asks you this. Do you believe that the particular brothers in question, like Tahir Wyatt and like Muhammad ibn Munir, do you believe that their fitna is the greatest fitna that the people here and the urban cities of America need to focus on? Do you believe that? Do you believe their fitna is greater than that of the Ikhwani Muslimin? You believe their fitna is greater than that of the Ahmadiyya movement? You believe that their fitna is greater than the Sufis? Do you believe that their fitna is greater than the Habashis? Do you believe that their fitna is greater than, the Shiites? Do you believe that their fitna is greater than the present-day Khawarij, those who are making khuruj against the governments, those who are making takfir on the governments and on the scholars? Do you believe that their fitna is greater than that? That so much so? Or is it the case that warning and, going against and refuting the people of Ahlul Bidah and the people who felt in the Bidah, is it something that is farda ayn? Is it an individual obligation that everyone has to do it? Or is it a farda kifaya? Okay? Now, if you're going to say that it's a farda ayn, then bring your proofs and position for that. And if it's some scholars that agree with you, I still want to hear their proof and not their statements. And if it's farda kifaya, as it was mentioned to us by Sheikh Mufti Amr in Egypt, he mentioned to us that if there are some people in America that's dealing with this issue, then other people can focus on other things. It don't have to be everybody have to focus on, refuting and refutations. That's not the case. So these questions that the brother is asking, I want you to understand they are legitimate. And these brothers have yet. Jameel Finch have not responded in 4 years, nor have the people that he run with, the company that he keep, nor have they responded. And I tell you what, brothers and sisters, they will never respond, because it's not about that. Again, now we're going to move on to Aaliyah. But I have to mention one incident that took place with Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul. So pay attention to this. I'm going to mention 2 statements. And these are beautiful statements that our beloved brother Ali Davis continue to bring out here. He said, as for why we choose to do what we do. Now he's explaining the reason why they came home, meaning Ali Davis and Saeed, to teach the way that they teach and to move the way that they move. He said to him, then there are statements from our scholars. There are statements from one of our scholars in Islam. His name is Sheikh Saleh Ali Sheikh, Hafidhullah. When he mentioned in his explanation of Kashf Shubahat, he said, without a doubt, the correct way, meaning given dawah, is that the Shubahat, the doubts, are not to be narrated or transmitted. That's the end of his words. He also mentioned in the explanation of Kitab al-Tawheed and Muhammad al-Wahhab's writing, depending on what people needed. Meaning that Muhammad al-Wahhab, when he written his words, Muhammad al-Wahhab, Barakallahu fiha, Muhammad al-Wahhab, when he written his words, this is what Sheikh Saleh Ali Sheikh, he mentioned in his explanation to this. He said that Muhammad al-Wahhab's writing depended on what the people needed. He didn't just write for the sake of having many writing or to show his versatility. So in other words, when he written a treatise or a work, he would look and see what the people was suffering, what they was in need of, what they lacked. And then that's when he would address those issues. So here our brother Ali Davis is saying, Jameel Finch, I'm looking at what my people need when I came back. And this is the issues that are facing them. These are the emails that we have been getting. These are the questions that have been posed to us. So we're going to deal with those particular issues. I want to know, Jameel Finch, is that wrong? Is that wrong? So he mentioned on. He said, however, we should focus on what's immediately affecting our communities. Now, he said, do you remember, you, Saeed, Anwar Wright, Umar, and myself were at Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul house, and Anwar Wright asked about refuting the Mushtarikun. For those who don't know, the Mushtarikun are non-believers who refute Islam from an academic standpoint. Right? So here, this is what happened. They was in Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul house. As they were sitting in Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul house, Anwar Wright, he posed a question. He said to Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul, he said, should we not be refuting these type of people? Should we not write a refutation? Now pay attention to what Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul asked them. He said, was there any effect in the area from them? Meaning in the area that you're residing in, do they have a problem with the Mushtarikun? Are they affecting your people? Or as though you need to write a refutation? So Anwar responded and said no, in the negative. So Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul told Anwar to leave them alone. Okay? So I continue to ask you, why would we busy people with issues that they do not have or do not know or are not affected by them? So here again, we see that Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul, using hikmah and insight, dealing with this particular issue. So how can you fault making double standard? How can you fault Ali Davis? How can you fault Sheikh Tahir Wyatt? How can you fault Muhammad and Munir for these individual brothers coming back, addressing their community, educating them in usul fiqh, understanding of fiqh? They need fiqh, how to move about, how to go about, what's halal, what's haram. How can you fault them in teaching the people about Tawheed, to know about their Lord? You can't fault them in that. Why? Because you have to ask yourself, is it a need to refute these particular people in your area? As Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul did with Anwar Wright. He said, is it a need? Is they affected? Is they affected by him? And he replied, no. Furthermore, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he mentioned this passage when speaking about the religion. He said, rather what is intended in speech must be accompanied by knowledge, justice, and sound religion. This is similar to what Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qumu, O you who believe, stand out firmly for justice. Lillahi. Right? Stand out for justice as just witness, and let not your enmity and hatred make you avoid justice. I'dilu, be just. For rally, Allah Jalla wa Ala said that is more nearer to taqwa, to piety. What taqwa, and fear Allah Jalla wa Ala, and Allah is well acquainted with what you do. Okay? So additionally, Ali Davis now comment, he said the intent is not to dishonor a specific person. Rather, the intent should be to clarify the error or mistake and warn against the mistakes or straying from the correct path in that particular issue. So again, the Salaf, they used to mention that when warning against bid'ah or the people of bid'ah, you will find that they have to still be just. They wasn't the ones that were warned against them turning and say all despicable things about them. Rather, they were warned because it was a necessity to do so, to make sure they clarify the errors that they felt in and the things they have done against the religion. And they will clarify those errors. But unlike our brothers, we find that they make statements, as we see what recently transpired with Hamza Durazak on a minbar, saying that yes, Shadid is shout out, Tahir shout out, I don't care, they're shout out, or they are worse than having a girlfriend or drinking alcohol. I don't know what scholar preceded him in that. And we do know that even if it's an athar, you should have just left it and separated it and just brought the statement of the athar. Actually didn't apply it to our brothers. We see that these brothers over the years have oppressed a lot of people. So now let's address the Aaliyah so we can make this short. And I believe she is watching. But this is a legitimate question. She asked Jameel Finch. She said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, after saying the Basmalah. She said, dear brothers in Islam, I am pleading and begging you for answers. I am stricken with grief by the issues that we, the community of Muslims, have been exposed to this week. I am reaching out for answers. And Allah knows best if she was talking about all of the refutation that was going against Sheikh Tahir at that time, the statements that were made back and forth on Twitter. Because it seems as if, Anwar Wright said that Sheikh Tahir Wyatt and his company, they only exist on cyberspace. But I find it ironic and contradictory, especially a contradiction that your whole platform is on Twitter. So basically, you exist on cyberspace as well, right? The community of Muslims have been exposed to this week. I am reaching out for answers. MashaAllah, I have 2 sons. If you were to present a picture of Kobe Bryant or David Beckham to them, they would never be able to tell you who these men are. SubhanAllah. Alhamdulillah. However, if you were to show them an image of Sheikh Tahir or Brother Mufti, they would say Tahir is a scholar, teaching in the Prophet's masjid. And one of my sons would say that Mufti, Muhammad Munir, is his role model. Allahu Akbar. With the issues in the kalam, the speech, that we have been exposed to this week, do I, as a mother, tell my sons, you no longer have permission to listen to Brother Mufti talk, nor do you have permission to watch Sheikh Tahir's videos, because Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah has parted ways with them, and they are not from amongst us. And when I say this to my son, and he says to me, Ummi, are they like the Shia, who beat themselves until they bleed? Are they like the Sufi mystics who dance around and chant in the masajids? Or are they like the Muslims who allow women to be imams? What do I say? What do I say when he asks, did they leave the path of Allah and are now amongst the destroyed? These are the questions they ask when they are exposed to bid'ah. So I need to know what I should be telling my children. I need to know for myself. Where have these brothers gone wrong? Can there be any rectification? Oh, Jameel Finch, you see the reason why the ulama, they have advised, especially these small students of knowledge, they have advised us to not delve into these type of affairs, jah wa ta'dil, refutations, because we don't have the necessary knowledge or the necessary taqwa or the necessary hikmah or the necessary wisdom nor the necessary mannerism to actually deal with these issues. You have whole communities now that's in shambles. And here's Aaliyah. She's asking you a question that you cannot respond. He did not respond to this question at all. Do I tell my sons not to ever consider becoming a scholar? SubhanAllah. Because it's not a position that they may someday can obtain. Why? Because it seems like we deny the scholarship of our own people. And while right sit there and twist the words of Sheikh Tahir Wyatt words, we deny the scholarship of our own people. And I don't understand where we get this from. This doesn't mean, they said, this doesn't mean we're trying to make Sheikh Tahir on the level of Sheikh Fawzan. That's ridiculous. I don't think no one got that from that. Besides the people that's being sick with this stuff. Who got from it that he was telling you don't take from Sheikh Fawzan? Who got that he was telling you don't take from Sheikh Rabia? Who got that he was telling you don't take from Sheikh Sheikh Muhsin al-Abad? Who got that? I don't think no one who heard that video about monopolizing scholars. And what they don't tell you the truth is that you can also listen to Sheikh Sulaiman al-Ruhaili, who's talking about the ideological attacks. He mentioned in that specific talk about people restricting the scholars to about 4 or 3 scholars. He mentioned that himself. So you don't mention that part. See, you make it seem as if Tahir Wyatt is the one, is the one that's doing this and just trying to use this to make it seem like, the Westerners are gullible. Yes, the Westerners are gullible to a certain point because they allow themselves to be influenced by individuals who are only small students, if students at that, that's going around here causing problems by the permission of Allah. And then she said, do I tell them that these 2 brothers are now hated by the Salafis and there is no means of rectification? What is their crime? It makes me think of the ayah where Allah Jalla wa Ala talks about how during the time of the days of ignorance preceding the event of Islam, that the Arabs, they used to bury their female infants. They used to place them into the grave. They were burying because they thought that having a daughter brings some type of signs of weakness and that having boys was strength. So Allah Jalla wa Ala will ask, for what crime was she killed? Why was she killed? Why was she placed into the grave? The same thing I'm asking here. What is the crime? What is the crime here? That our beloved brothers Tahir Wyatt and Muhammad Nir, what is their crime? I never seen the ulama deal with an issue of bid'ah and it never was clear. Any issue that they ever refuted, they always refute. And they deal with justice and they show you clearly where the person made the error. They quote the person's word. They quote his works. They show you the page number. They also refute it. And they show you the evidence that that person brings. And they refute those evidences they're not legitimate. And it becomes crystal and it becomes waldy for anyone who can see, even a lay person, that this person definitely made an error. This person, he definitely went against the kitab. He definitely went against the sunnah. Now, to this day, all we got is a bunch of statements. A bunch of statements and a group of students who are sitting around just clicking up with one another saying, yeah, this is what it is. And everyone making a tape. It's like it's a rap group. Yeah, when you come in, you have to talk about Tahir. You come in, you have to talk about Shadid. You come in, you have to talk about Munir. You have to make something about them. Waliyadu billah. It's how it sounds. Like you just have to make something about them. You don't know them. Many of the brothers, they don't, for those who don't know, many of the brothers, when you go overseas, it was Tahir Wyatt, by the permission of Allah Jalla Ala, that was open doors for a lot of brothers over there. A lot of brothers. Then you talk around and you sit here and say, well, we're going to come back to the West and paint this picture of this crime, and we cannot mention one crime that the man did. And for this doubt, because it is a shubha, for those who say, well, where the refutation of Tahir Wyatt? First of all, Somalia does not got a right to refute anyone. When we say refute anyone, we mean it in the terms of refuting him by himself. If you're going to refute with the refutation of the scholars against groups and organizations, as Sheikh Muhammad Hadi had you signed, that you signed your Hancock to, if you're going to do that, then la best. For those who have clear innovation, la best. But you don't have a right to compose your own refutation. Because you signed that agreement, which put you in a box, Somali, which told you had to go back to the scholars and you have to present that issue to them, and they have to look it over and they have to deal with it. But now you come back and you refute Tahir. How Somalia is not even on his level? He have no scholarship to be on this level to refute Tahir Wyatt. I don't understand that. And why is we as lay people we're sitting around allowing this to happen? Listen what she's saying. She's saying if my 2 sons, they don't even know about basketball players. They know about these particular brothers who inspired them to learn knowledge about Allah's deen. And she is saying here, do I tell them that these two brothers are now hated by the Salafis? And there is no means of rectification. This is tearing our community apart, our families. This will be a very difficult conversation for me to have with my sons. Is there any way, for the sake of Allah, for brotherhood, the community, and our families, for the issue to be resolved? This is the statement. This is the statement that when I read this tweet from Aaliyah, wallahi, it touched me, because it just made me realize that, you know, these particular brothers, they're not even looking at the devastation or the harm that they're causing. And I cannot make any more excuses for these brothers. And I refuse to make any more excuses. You brothers have took the religion of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and you have caused a lot of chaos. And I have made it a sworn oath for myself that I will fight you brothers until Allah Jalla wa Ala take my soul. Till you brothers are removed from this deen. And in the sense what I mean, not removed from the deen, it's not being Muslims, but removed from being the heads and leading people and leading communities, because you cause too much chaos. You're not scholars. As Sheikh Islam mentioned, you aren't scholars. None of us are. And you're not going to inspire us with knowledge. You're just going to cause separation and separation. No one can work with you. No one can deal with you. No one can do this. No one can move with that. And you don't bring any evidence. It's just accusations. And the only thing you use is Twitter. And y'all keep retweeting it and keep retweeting it. I can't make no more excuses. I'm done with all of the excuses. Aaliyah, tell your boys that they can actually take from Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, and that he's a good example and a role model. You tell your boys they can take from Muhammad Munir, that he's a good example and a role model. And he is someone from us that Allah Jalla wa Ala who have blessed. And for many of us who knows that, definitely, especially myself, coming up, in this urban city and not having a chance. Yes, I am envy of our beloved brothers, a permissible envy. I envy Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. I envy Muhammad Munir, who at a young age, 14, 15, was seeking knowledge. Where was I at? I was on some street, some corner, selling something, probably taking something from somebody, But yet and still, here come these individuals. They sit behind, they sit behind their pens and they sit behind their statements, and they sit here and pass it around, and they destroy the community. And until you lay people start waking up and saying it's enough, enough is enough. You can change the tide. You can change the situation. All you have to do is stop listening and start listening to the ulama. Those who they keep saying they calling you to, then really listen to them. Sheikh Rabi'a had a talk with these particular brothers. Had a talk with them. Told them to stop what they're saying. Anyone want to go back, go listen to Sheikh Muhammad ibn Rabi'a. Go listen to his son. How he explained about the fitna that took place. And how his father was telling them to have love for one another. Have love for one another. These particular brothers, what did they do? They came right back here, and they still don't deal with Ahlul Hadith. They came right back here, and yeah, they make little statements. Yeah, we tell people to go benefit from Ahlul Hadith. Come on, be honest. They don't deal with no Ahlul Hadith. You go to Ahlul Hadith lectures. You remember how big it used to be? It ain't like that no more. It seemed like it only became 2 masjids in the city of Philly now, and that's been Bass in Germantown. Sheikh Mukbil Masjid is still there, but that's for those, I guess, who want to play on neutral grounds. We calling on the lay people to really wake up, and we calling on the elders to really stand up. And if you're not going to stand up, inshallah ta'ala, then we're going to have to, call a spade, and we're going to have to deal with this issue the way that we're going to have to deal with it. And for many of you people who are attacking and saying that we are using vigilante ways, and this is not rectifying the situation, trust me and believe me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must have sick me on you individuals. And me and my brother Isa Abu Isa. Because we are not doing this. Tahir Wyatt didn't call me on no phone and say, you know what, hold my honor up. Muhammad Munir never called me. Matter of fact, if you really want to know what Muhammad Munir told me, when I first did the Be Just and Reputations to Jameel Finch and Anwar Wright, Muhammad Munir told me, to leave it alone and don't even address it. Leave it alone. Don't defend his honor. None of these brothers told us to do what we're doing. None of them told us to do it. But enough is enough. If you're a man and you understand what's inside, enough is enough. We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to really allow us to get rid of this poison that's in our city, and allow us to, inshallah ta'ala, deal with the people in a just manner. Aaliyah continue to benefit. They're not going to answer these particular questions. And inshallah ta'ala, one of the next videos that we're going to do is we're going to show you a refutation of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi. And we're going to show you how his refutation is way different from the refutations we see that these brothers do. how it's proof and it's evidence, how they don't call each other imbeciles and ignoramus and fools and ahmak and all of this type of stuff. You're going to see how they deal with one another and dress one another with love, with dua and perseveration, and they really want that person up off the error that they made. Whatever I said that was incorrect is definitely from myself and the shaitan. Whatever I said was correct from Allah Jalla wa Ala. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.